So we're going to be working with the Rondelle Collection today, and it's absolutely gorgeous, probably my favourite from the releases, and I really do love it heaps and heaps. So I'm going to start, and I'm just going to show you some of the products that have been released with the Rondelle Collection so you can get a better look at them and see just how beautiful they are. So I'm going to start with some of the vintage trinkets. So you can see some of the vintage trinkets there. You get two of the tiles up here, then you get these gorgeous little pendants. Don't know if I can get it with the light a bit better. The pendants are just gorgeous, and then you get two like little bottle cap pendants down here, which are sweet as well, and I really love them. And I love the fact that you get a few different things in the one pack. So totally gorgeous. Absolutely love these ones here. They're just so fabulous. So that's one of the things I'm going to show you. Also brought out these gorgeous pegs. Now these are so fabulous, not only for pages but for any of your off the page stuff as well. So they've got quite a texture. You probably can't see that, but when I run my finger across them, they've got this beautiful texture, and you can see the different designs. And I was even thinking the other day, if you wanted to, you could break them in half if you didn't want as much bulk on a layout, and just use them stuck down just as a half a peg as well, if you didn't quite need as much bulk. And I thought that might be a bit of an idea with them as well, but they're just so fabulous for any off the page. And more little bits of wood. Love the woods. Little wood buttons, and I might just grab one out. I love the fact you get all different shapes and stuff in, but you can just see there, like this gorgeous little birdie on that one, and I love the stars, and it just says wonderful on that one, which you can't even read, but anyhow. And you get your hearts and your stars, and then your circles. And I even find with these, I'll even flip them just to the wood side, because I really love the wood side on them quite a lot too, just to use. And I think that's a whole lot of fun when you're using the little wood buttons. And they're great if you want to paint them or anything like that as well. Now there's also some gorgeous stamps, and you can see with this one, lots of light on it, sorry. You've got a word, you've got a lovely little label part up here, and you could easily do your label and then stamp your love in it afterwards and make it a really cute little thing for a card and stuff like that. So love them. And I have to say, I always love the journaling note cards. These are some of my favourites, and these are particularly beautiful. So you've got lots of gorgeous designs, and what I love about these is they've all got like a grey or a black border, which is absolutely stunning, and they're quite light and delicate, so you can really mix and match these with their beautiful designs and stuff. Love them. And it might be hard to see here, but there's like it's been worn back, and there's a touch of newsprint coming through in the print, which is such a gorgeous shabby chic element. It's like they've mixed some shabby chic vintagey elements with this more modern floral element, and it's just so much fun. I love them all. So some of my favourite products are there, and these little note cards definitely must have, I reckon, and you get heaps in there as well. And then I was going through thinking, oh, what can I put with these different things? What can I mix and match together? Because I kind of have to create on the fly today, so I've got to look at different parts. And I'll just show you some of the papers now. And I've kind of been looking at the photos, the papers, sorry, going, oh, what will I do with these? But on this one, I'll move it back this way a bit, you've got this gorgeous argyle pattern. Totally love the way there's spots and text and everything, and I've got some ideas what I might want to do. And on the back, some cute little circles. I see hand cutting in my future with this. So I've decided, I think I'll use this sheet today. I'm eyeing off that bird and some of these floral elements down the side, because I think they'd be really beautiful. And how gorgeous is that spot on the back? And you can just see through here, you've got text coming through in it. sort of like it's been worn away, and it's just stunning. And some more pieces that are just fabulous for that fussy cut elements. Come back this way and you can see the full sheet a bit better. And then a beautiful like dictionary style text on the back. And I'm loving this as well, just because the black gives a beautiful contrast to the other stuff. And the hummingbird is super cute. I love the hummingbird in this collection. And how gorgeous is that spot? I'm a real spot girl, and I just love this, and I love how shabby chic it is, and the way it sort of looks as though it's been rasped with a wire brush or something. Just stunning. And then just to torment me, this might be one of my favourite pieces as well. So look at this. Like, I love, love, love that. Can definitely see myself hand cutting that out as well. And then we've got a bolder piece with some bold, more retro-y style images on this side. And I think that's just stunning. But then on the back, how sweet is that? Just a delicate, delicate pink. And again, you've got the same, whoop, this side, you've got that same worn off with text coming through, which is absolutely beautiful. I'm thinking that's going to be my background. And more delectable stuff for cutting. For the fussy cutter, which of course I am. You got these, it's not really focusing today very well, let's bring it up here. So you got these gorgeous, gorgeous swirls here, and I definitely think I would love to play around cutting out those swirls, because they're just speaking to me. I hear voices. And then you've got a nice little plaid with some different elements, and you've got, you know, a bit of text style up here into it, and some spotty bits and lots of gorgeous bits on the back of that one. And on this side, we've just got like a repeating filigree style pattern in a pale, you know, like a soft black or a, you know, dark grey. And quite a fun, more retro style to that one, with layers of script and floral elements over that. And the last page in the collection is like a little honeycomb. Looks more like circles from there, but if you get up really, really close, you can see it's tiny little honeycomb images, and some more black with some more images on the corner. That'll make a really great dramatic background as well. So that's some of the papers, and I get to just create right in front of you using these today. So I'm a little bit afraid because I haven't got a chance to, because I've only got a sheet of each. I didn't get a chance to make a design beforehand, but I've been observing them and getting a few ideas and things that I'd like to use from those papers. So I'll show you a couple more things and then we'll get on to it. They've got these adorable stickers to go with the Rondelle collection as well, and I'll come up really close. And again, see how there's that gorgeous shabby chic print coming through. So it's like someone scratched off the surface and left the text through with that. Love that so much. And then down the bottom there's some circle, like typewriter circle style ones. Some very cool words at the top, like for stickers that you can then use as embellishments on your page, and then some little hexagonal little alphabet spots as well, and then some more of the tiny type that Prima have brought out in the last few releases, which is lots of fun as well. And the colour stickers that match for this range, it's a beautiful grey colour, and then this gorgeous peachy sort of pink up the top in the small letters, which is fabulous for both scrapbookers and card makers alike. Now I've thrown together a couple of other things that I thought, oh, this might be really nice to use. So I sort of pulled out these and thought I might be able to use these with it. They're sort of an apricot peachy sort of colour that will work in with some of the colours, and I just adore these new satin crystal centres. As you can see, you get, you know, I'll bring it up really close, there's like little tiny flowers here, and then you've got just more normal ones here, and then you've got these ones that have the little crystals around the actual centre as well. So you get beautiful little selection on those. And then, where's it gone? I also thought it might be lots of fun to try and incorporate one of the new shabby chic resins Totally adore the new designs that Embell's come up with. They're just so super sweet, and these little cupids are so easy to pop into your designs. And as far as flowers go, I really loved, well, let's make it so you can see. Really love these, and I thought colour-wise they're a bit darker, but they'd give a beautiful contrast to the page, and it brings in that beautiful warm pink. And look how stunning those centres are. They're just beautiful, sparkly and blingy. And these are the actual matching, some of the matching little flowers to the Rondelle line. You can see they're just sweet, matching some of the prints. They've got little pearls on the inside and little bits hanging on this one. Hang on. And little pearls on the inside with the little prints, same as the prints on the paper. It's not focusing. Look at that spotty one. How cute's that one? So totally love them. Gorgeous, gorgeous colours, gorgeous, gorgeous bits and pieces. So I thought they'd be great to try and use as well. Let's just see if I can come up with something that works. I'm a little bit worried about that, but we'll see how we go. So, and finally, I thought it would be really fun to also try and incorporate some of these new felt ones, which I thought were absolutely sweet as. These look gorgeous also on a wedding page or something like that, but I love the cream, and I thought they were particularly elegant, and I love the shape of them as well. And they really do. They'll just give that little bit of texture as well, because I like to look at texture and stuff when I'm creating, because it is just beautiful. So that's what I'm thinking today. So I hope you've liked the little bit of a product review we've got happening there, and all the different bits and pieces I plan to play with. Now I've got to try and look at a way of pulling it all together. Now when I start out creating, I did spend a bit of time looking at the papers, and I absolutely adore that sheet as my background. So I'm hoping that I can work it all out. So I'm just going to start by cutting off the barcode on the base of that one. And I'm going to reduce the camera now and put it down so it's facing down and you can see what I'm doing. This could be interesting because I have to kind of work it out as I'm going on. So be patient with me, and hopefully it will turn out into a reasonably nice page. So I'm just going to turn the camera down now. Okay, so I'll just start by chopping off the edge of that one. Now I totally love the whole distressed look of this, so I'm thinking that it would be a bit of fun to add a little bit of ink around the edges. I'm going to try it, actually I might try it with a lighter one. I'm actually going to try it, and it's Shabby Taupe is the colour, with one of the little chalk inks. So I'll just start and give it a quick, and all I'm doing with this is actually, rather than swiping it, I'm actually just pressing it onto the edge of the page, so I get a bit of a blotchy sort of effect around the edges rather than just a straight out swiped effect. And you kind of get the a bit of the pattern from the actual pad that's there, like a bit of a foaminess. If you don't press too hard, you can kind of press lightly and bring up a bit of that foamy print at the same time. So just going to add a little bit of shabbiness to this. Quite often I actually don't add the shabbiness to this bottom layer till right at the end, but I'm trying to just, you know, think on my feet today and work it out. See how we get there. And just in keeping with the thing, I'm going to go straight to the tool and give it a bit more of a shabby up. So I often just grab the edge and then just really give it a bit of a rough hacking into. If you want to get more really distressed and that effect, lay it on your mat. I don't know if I can see right the way down here. I've got a little patch here that I usually work on. And you can just go over. If you keep it flatter like this, you can take the top off more, and then you can dig in harder. You can see there, where is it? You can see there that I've dug in and I can create great little textured elements and really give it that much stronger distressed feeling. And I always used to wonder how some of the girls got this really totally shabby chic look out of their pages, and this tool makes it super easy to do that. So I'm just going to quickly go around, give it a quick shabby up, and just go in occasionally and take off a little bit more. And you can just see how easy it is to get that really shabby effect coming up. And by going quite flat, I can take off some of the top of the paper and still leave bits left underneath. I don't know if you can see that very well, but you can just sort of leave it so it's peeling the top layer but still leaving it underneath a bit more. And I kind of have this joke in any of the classes I teach that I ink and distress everything. It's kind of just what I do. So noisy, I'm afraid, though, so sorry about that. So I've got my distressed background there, and that looks, I'm quite happy with how that's looking so far. And then straight away I'm always thinking about, oh, I'd love to get hand cutting into my pages as well, because I really do love the hand cutting. And I saw this earlier and I thought, oh, totally and utterly love the elements that are happening on this page as far as hand cutting goes. Now I use a combination of both the new knife as well as scissors when I'm doing my hand cutting. And I'm just going to try and hand cut. I'm concentrating, I think, mostly on the swirls at this stage, so I'm just going to go in and try and hand cut myself a few swirls. I might take some of these elements with it as well though. I'll start in here. I'm only going to go around it pretty rough today because I've got it for time. I can't take too much time in doing it, so it's not going to be real fine fussy cutting. It's going to be a case of let's quickly go around the edge for the sake of time. So now the knife goes through it really quite easily. It's important that you keep your blade nice as well and keep it nice and sharp, and you can easily buy replacement blades, and it's very easy to take the blade out and replace it, because I have actually replaced mine a couple of times now. I'm just checking I've gone through all the bits there. This would be great if I had it all pre-done. Then you wouldn't have to sit and wait for me to fussy cut everything. But I do a lot of fussy cutting in my designs. I just love the effect that it gives, and just gives you ideas on how to use your paper. And I also think it kind of dictates where my designs go quite often when I do my fussy cutting, because then I sort of think, well, I really want to display these on the page, and I'll work with it from there to sort of work out how best to display it on the page. I don't think I'll worry about much more of that flower there. I'll just cut around it. So we've got one element all cut out. I don't have the benefit of my sped up mode with this like I do when I'm doing videos later. My parents watched one of my videos the other day and they go, geez, you work fast. And I go, yes, I'm speedy. I wish. So we'll just get these lovely little elements. And cut them all out. So cutting, cutting. So we've got another one. Now down here, definitely want to try and get these ones as well, so let's see how I'm going to cut these ones out. Around. Of course, in my head I, thought, oh yes, these would be lovely to cut, but didn't quite contemplate how long it takes to do the fussy cutting. I'll just cut that away from the main bit of the paper, and let's just perhaps cut this through here at the moment. I'm not working on so much to have to try and work around. I'll just take that bottom edge off too. Probably won't be too fussy. I'd ordinarily go right in and cut it right around, but I just don't have time to try and do that today. So I'm going to do half fussy, half lazy cutting. And where will I go with this one? Quite often I'm looking and I'm thinking, oh, I don't know if I want to use it as a full bit or do I want to cut it up, and you kind of have to decide where you're going to cut through with some of these layers and stuff at times. I think I'll come in a little bit more there and cut away some of that. Keep the flower bits. Getting there. What I might do is just go on and do some other things, and then I can work out a bit later, once I've got a bit more of the design down, how I might use some of these fussy cut elements. So there's a couple of things, like you can see I haven't been overly fussy at this stage with it, but I'll just put them aside because I'd like to use them somehow on the page. And I absolutely love this design, but I'm actually thinking I love this just as much, so I'm thinking what I might do is just cut through here to get an idea of what I can use, but still retain this part of my image for later on. So let's go through here. Now I cut that about 7 inches for that one. So and maybe about like so. And again, I'll probably just give this a quick ink up. And like I said, I nearly always do go through and ink and distress my edges because it's lots and lots of fun. And I really think this is going to be set off nicely on a black background. So if I cut that, and I quite often do this, I'll get the dimensions of a page and then I'll think, oh, I want about like this, and I get very slack with the way I quite often cut because I'm just using the other part of this inside to give me an idea of where I'm going to cut rather than exact measurements quite often. But having that black border around those spots, as you can see, it really sets it off. So I'll give these a quick distress. them a quick distresser. Try not to take up too much time. And as you can see, you can really get into it with this distress tool and distress quite quickly if you need to. And I'll quickly give this one a bit of a distress too. I love the way you bring back that little bit of white border at the same time. It's just so much fun to bring back that little bit of white border as well. And that's the beauty of having like a white core in your paper. Because in distressing it and bringing back that white, it just adds another element of colour back into your page as well. Now some people ink after they're distressed. I quite often ink first just because I do like to bring back that bit of white border. So I'm thinking something like that stuck down onto there could be nice at this stage. So let's just throw some 450 on. I used to use double-sided tape for everything, and now I've just totally converted to the Helmar 450 because I just find that it doesn't warp or bend the paper, and it's just a bit quicker than peeling off the other stuff all the time. Now, of course, now I put my other sheet away somewhere. So that sort of gives me an idea of what I can do as far as a bit of a base goes. And I was looking at this one thinking, oh, I totally love the idea of cutting out some of these argyle patterns. So I'm just going just outside the area of grey, and I'll just quickly cut through that. What am I cutting on the other side spots? I do tend to check what I'm cutting on the reverse side quite often, because if I don't check on the reverse side, you never know, I might cut through something I don't want to cut through. And I'll go right the way to the end on this one. So you can use this argyle pattern, you know, you could cut out individual diamonds from it, or in this case I'm still keeping the diamond shape, but I'm actually going to cut it out so that we're getting a block of 4 per diamond, so they're much bigger. And you could probably do the same going out to 6 or something like that if you wanted even bigger diamonds again. Now they're going to get a little bit fragile in the centres, so you may want to leave it with a slightly bit more space around that centre V there, just so that it doesn't become too fragile just in that part there. But you can see how beautiful these papers are, and you know, you can definitely get some ideas of working with them straight off. I think I'll cut that one off. If I'm taking time to think, sometimes I need thinking time. I'm thinking about how I want it to all work together for me, so be patient. I'd have to be a little bit patient here. What if I go like that or that? That could be quite nice. Coming out like that. Coming out, maybe. What about this one? Might actually. You can see I'm just trying to get an idea of how to use these swirls before I start sticking down those other layers, and I'm thinking this one here could work quite nicely going into this section. So what I might do is actually just cut out around this one, and then that one can be slid up under there somehow. Maybe more central, not quite certain. And then I'll work out where I might use some of the other bits and pieces, and what I've got here and what I can use. I might just cut through that one at this stage. trying to give it balance, like I'm trying to get an idea of how I can keep the whole design balanced. So I'm trying to keep it even, relatively even down the base here, so I've got sort of even gaps on the sides here between my elements in the center. And then I'm trying to also see if I can offset it at the top so that there's sort of evenness up there as well. So I'm going to have to find something, I guess, to fit through this section up here, which possibly I might be able to cut out some of these little bits from the bottom of this page, and that might work for that top section. We will see. So let's see how it's looking. Maybe if we, sorry, excuse me, maybe if we sneak that into there somehow. Bring it down on the page a bit, still keeping that. And you can see I'm just trying to pull it down this way, you can see it. I'm just trying to keep that balance there and get a bit of an idea about how these bits and pieces might actually work on this page. Which we'll see if it all comes together all right at the end. Now, I might just make that swirl round a bit more like so. Thinking about a swirling sort of element up through there. And maybe even just offsetting something down here. I probably want to ink these as well, just to give them a little bit more dimension. I just read, someone says this is fascinating to watch. Let me tell you, this is not fascinating to do. This is terrifying. This is like letting someone come in and see you doing something that you don't usually let people do. It's like trying to work out your creative process here, which if it doesn't work could be a total and utter disaster. So you have to be kind, because this is very nerve-wracking. Because I can spend absolutely ages just fussing with tiny little bits and pieces and just stand looking at something for ages going, oh, what can I do here? What can I do there? Now I feel like I need to try and pad this out somehow through this center. I want to put more layers in here. I'm thinking there was that sheet, this sheet that had some of these lovely big flowers on them. I'm thinking it might be nice to try and cut some of these out, and I could probably interweave them into what I've got here. So I'm just debating. I'm quite happy with how it's looking up here, so I might give this a quick look and then a quick ink around the edges, and then I might stick some of these elements down through that top section. Now I'm just going in and I'm going to use the finer side of the distress tool just to do this, just because it won't hack into it quite so much. So if we start by sticking that one down under there, I can get an idea do I want it under or over? I might just put it like so. And give it a little, oh, I got glue on my hands. Just distress it up. In distressing up even the little hand cut elements, it can also take away that little bit of hard choppy edge that you might end up with occasionally, and just softens all those edges. So maybe like so. There's a swirly bit on it. I think I want it up so you can see that swirly bit, or under. Oh, sometimes it doesn't, yeah, it's going over that bit because I can't pull it up underneath. So that bit's going up. And I might just hand cut this in just a little bit more because it's bugging me that it's not. Really bugging me. And again, just give it a quick ink. They told me I was allowed to have a little bit longer than an hour. Since I've got it, I couldn't pre-do anything or have any ideas, but we'll see how we go getting this done. It'll be a bit simpler than some of my designs are, just because we don't have time, and also I don't have a chance to sort of really sit down and mess around with the elements. So we're looking at about like so. Okay, now let's have a look. I might just stick that bit down too, down there as well. Give that a quick ink and stick it down too. And that'll force me to not sit and mess around with it and play with it 10 times and change where I put everything, because I'll do that too. If it's stuck, and I can't really do much more with it then. So hopefully that's reasonably alright, and let's perhaps go that one as well. And that'll get those elements nearly all stuck down. I apologise if I'm not able to create and read what you guys are writing. I apologise, I'm slightly stressed. I nearly always used to use tapes, but I've just found that the 450 dries really fast. It never warps your paper. Like, you can have a look at that. It's totally unwarped. You wouldn't even know that I've used a wet glue on it at all. And it's quicker, and then I don't end up with a mess of all the little pieces of tape hanging around as well. So I pretty much do. I occasionally use tape in some situations, but I would say I've just about fully gone to just using the quick dry now, just because I find it really convenient to the way I scrap, and things don't tend to fall off either. Sometimes after a while things can fall off with tape runner. I know here in Australia, Helmar is actually an Australian company. It's really easy to find it anywhere. But yeah, as far as it goes in some of the other places, you might have to try and have a look around and see where you can get it from. Right, I'm thinking might be time to do some cutting on this one now. So let's just go some of these gorgeous flowers. Now I'm not worrying about the vine aspect of it. I think I actually want just the flowers off this at this point. Now I tend to just sort of go through getting my paper elements and working out most of my paper elements first. Quite often I can cut out more than what I end up using, so I'll end up with a little pile of offcuts hanging around me at the end of creating. Depending on where I end up using that and how it ends up looking, but maybe something like so might work. I'll work that out bit by bit. Take some of these other ones. I always use a lot of my pattern paper, but quite often I'll end up with large amounts of leftovers, and I always go back to my leftovers and go back and use them when I'm using my die cutting machine and that sort of thing, because they're already sort of chopped into a smaller amount for that. So I tend to always use the bits and pieces, but how I use it all depends. So that one kind of has to go on that side because it's had a bit chopped out of it, so we'll see. My scissors are just the Fiskars Soft Touch ones, and they're getting a bit blunt now, but they spring open on their own, so I don't get as much hand fatigue and stuff when I'm using them. Somewhere there. And let's go this one. I've got a couple of pairs of them as well, and I've cut wire. So I have one that cuts paper still, and then I've got another pair that I tend to cut wire and stuff with. I want that tail of that birdie. Alright, maybe up like so, somehow, under there, something like so, maybe a note card at this point. Definitely think I need to use one that's got a bit more, it's a bit pink. A bit more of the shape and stuff to it. Don't mind that. That's quite nice. Probably like the tones of that one on there. I reckon I want to move all this way and give a little bit more space for a photograph or something on that side. I have to use one of these birdies. They are absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely love, love, love the birdies. Go the birdies. They're just so cute to use. Something like that, maybe with a bit of swirl coming out from the top. I'm not quite certain there. Alright, so that's to that point. I'm not minding that. That's alright, considering that I'm having to do this extremely quickly. Definitely want to foam mount this one up. I think that'll look really sweet foam mounted up. I might get to a point now that I think I'm going to stick some of this down. I don't know if you can see that very well, but does that get a better idea? So we've got some elements through here at the top, and it's offset by a couple of elements here, and a bit of a cluster just running through that portion. And then I'll have to try and work out if I'm going to add in foam mount tape and that sort of thing. So let's see. So I tend to do most of this designing first without any flowers just yet. I wouldn't normally glue down until I've got my flower design, you know, where I'm happy to pop all the flowers in place, but slightly different circumstances today. So, and time doesn't actually permit. So let's try getting this sort of sorted best I can. And you can see again, I'm just going to ink it slightly, and then I'm going back in and just roughing up those edges that little bit. And quite often I also like to just get my fingernails in and actually press in around the tips of the leaves on flowers. And I don't know if you can really see that anywhere. Let me see if I can get it so you can you see how I've turned those leaves up that little bit? And by turning those leaves up that little bit, just adds a little bit more dimension and texture to the whole flower. So I'm thinking I could possibly stick that one in, hopefully, because that's going to be one of the lower layers. So I will, let's be brave, let's stick it down, and then we'll work with it and work out how we're going to work with it from there. So I'm thinking somewhere about like so, hopefully, maybe move that around a bit like that. Okay, maybe pop that one down there. I'll just ink that a little bit. Yeah, I use a lot of paper on my layouts. I can put quite a few flowers on quite often, but usually I'll only use a handful of flowers. But I guess I'll just sort of look at it and go, okay, that and that. It's just a few, just to embellish the page. I like to have a design that I feel can sort of stand alone with paper alone before I then go back in and add my flowers as embellishments. So I quite often don't end up using heaps and heaps and heaps of flowers for that reason, because I pad a lot of my design out with cut paper and that sort of thing rather than some of the other embellishments. So it's just the way my brain works, I suppose, when I'm creating. And again, I'll just push these leaves to give them a little bit more texture. And I also think a little bit of something like Kindy Glitz or something could be absolutely gorgeous. Kindy Glitz or the stickles into the center of some of these flowers could add that little bit of sparkle and stuff, which could be really sweet as well. That goes in there, but I think then I'm going to need to stick down. And this is where I run into lots of fun and games, because I'm sort of sitting here going, I need to stick that layer on, but I kind of need to stick that layer on, but I still need to get this one under here. So I have to kind of mess around a little bit with these things for a bit, just working out which ones to stick down where when I've got layers. And it's quite often, it's the dilemma I have all the time while I'm creating is, oh, I've got to try and get this layer down and that layer down, and I do not stick down as I go. I actually will fully design a layout usually, not stick down a thing, and then go back in afterwards and stick it down as I go, and hope like crazy that it goes back kind of the same way I wanted it to, because that doesn't always happen either. I have good intentions of it looking a certain way, and when I stick it down, it's not quite the same. So this is a little bit different because it's just a bit more sticking as I go, and hoping then that I can make it all work and it will look pretty at the end. So fingers crossed. I just want to open up and cut a bit more of the solid parts out of this at the moment, because I just want to expose all the filigree elements, and by cutting it a bit finer, that's probably the best way to sort of do that. Okay, let's get the ink out. Someone just said that I'm killing them with their fussy cutting. Oh, sorry. I kill myself half the time with all the fussy cutting I do. Okay, let's get this glue on the back here. If I have to glue down elements and I'm not certain that I might need to stick something down underneath them, I've left quite a big gap all around these edges here, so I can still slide stuff under if I need to, because I have this feeling that I'm going to want to have to slide other things under here and before I'm finished. So let's see how it goes. Hopefully this will work. Let's go this one next. I'm keeping it fairly flat at this point. I haven't put foam dots or anything onto any of these layers just yet. Adding in the foam dots is definitely a way to get a little bit more texture and dimension happening. And I may have played around with that a little bit more. I've got no idea if that's straight yet. Let me see if I line it up. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm actually just using the mat, and with the Prima mat, you've got all the guidelines going across it. So I've actually just taken my layer and I place the top of it on the top there, and sort of visually I can see then the top of that bit of argyle is with that, straight with that, and then I can kind of, except for the glue's getting fairly heavy, line it up with the corresponding one down this end, so that I know it's reasonably straight, because it's quite hard when you're just looking at a design like this to see, okay, is it straight or not. Now I think that one will slip nicely into there. Ugh, come on glue, come out. And I'm just going to slide that under. Like so. Now I'm thinking at this point, this is probably a piece that would look really pretty if I do foam mount this up. So I'll give it a bit of an inking and give it a quick distress, and then I'm going to use some foam mount dots, I think, to just give it that little bit of lift on the page. I have to keep going over and touching the screen so it doesn't disappear on me. Just trying to decide how far I want to go. Now I'm thinking a photo somewhere in here. Either a small one coming out this way, and would you believe it, I don't even have a photo. I forgot to get a photo out here, so thinking either a small one here or maybe one going this way, and I may have to lift some of these elements and stick them under ever so slightly. But let's get this foam. I did bring out some lace because I thought this might go colour-wise. Actually, before I go too much further, so whatever this lace was, it just says lace 10mm cream. Something like that might be pretty. What's that going to look like on there? I'll line it up with those dots. Go this way or that way with this. Okay, I might do that. What I love about the 450 as well is I can just run it for both laces or paper or anything, so hence it's quick. Try and get that moderately straight. And grab some foam mount tape. And just throw some of this on. I hope it's not Prima lice. Be a bit of a worry if it's lice. I think that'll stay stuck up with all those on. And see, this is why I don't use double-sided tapes as much anymore, because I get sick to death of pulling all these little silly tabs off the back all the time. And let's go about like so, and that'll then give that, have a little bit of lift then, not a lot. It's hard to get this on an angle so you can kind of see, but it just gives it that little bit of lift on the page. I reckon I might foam mount him up too, but I'm at that point now where I probably want to have a look at flowers, so let me, and I always start with my biggest flower first. I tend to find that if I start with my biggest flower first, then I'll work onto the smaller ones after that, and I just find just allows me to get an idea of what I'm doing. See if I can't work something out here with these little ones. I kind of feel it's a little bit messy in this spot here, so if I cover it with a flower, you'll never know. maybe with some of these other bits and pieces. What have we got colour-wise? I'm just working out what sort of sticks up with the design. Don't really want to cover too much of that flower off either. And maybe something like that over there. Maybe with that one still give that a bit more dimension and lift it up out that side. I feel like I need some little tiny roses or something to sort of poke in and around, but I did bring any out with me, so let's just see what I can manage by playing around with what I've got. And this is the irony. I might get all that paper down fairly quickly, and then I might just sit here and play around with the other bits for ages, because that's just what I do. Sort of looking like that, maybe a bit pinkier. Tucking something in under there. No, don't like that there. How about thinking maybe I need to add some leaves. I might just hand cut out some leaves or something just to add a little bit more dimension in around the flowers. And you can easily cut out your own leaves just by grabbing the paper and sort of cutting a leaf type shape, and then I've just put a bend through the middle if you can get it in the middle, which I always have fun with. Then just sort of sticking them out from the bases of these. And going this way. That adds a little bit more, the black adds a little bit more contrast in it as well by putting those in. Might do some slightly bigger ones. If I can actually cut a slightly bigger one. For up here. Maybe I might use them up here. Add a bit of something up there. And I'll probably just distress and ink these ever so slightly as well before I stick them down. What way is that text going? Probably doesn't matter too much. And another one. Let's have a look here. Adding a little bit of black up here. And another one. Trying to keep it to a balance, so putting leaves in 3 spots just to keep that slightly uneven numbers in amongst the bits and pieces here. I like that with a little bit more black. It just adds a little bit more contrast to the whole design. So I'm thinking maybe I'm ready to stick some of these flowers down. I wouldn't mind a little bit more here and there, but feel like if I go anything too much up there, I'm going to have to build it out this way as well. So I might kind of leave it at the moment just with those bits and pieces on it and stick some of those elements down. So let's quickly dip these in ink up. This one has a bit of a sharp base there, so I'll try and curve it a little bit more and just distress it up a little bit. So that can go in there. Let's give this a little bit. And stick it partially underneath. Hopefully it'll stay where I want it to. Maybe I need it going over that. Oh, I just popped off a... Pearl decided to pop itself off. And then adding just a bit of ink and distress. Feel like your fingers and thumbs sometimes. Sometimes when you get the little bits, it's almost easier to get in and just use that little bit on the edge to distress it up. Your little sharp knife type side bit on the distressing tool. It's sometimes easier to distress with that than it is to use the side pieces if you're getting into a little tiny bit. And I still want those leaves to sit upwards a bit. So that gives a bit of an idea there. And the other thing I'm thinking is, oh, I better finish these ones off quickly. I'm getting distracted. And I often do at this point, I can often sit and just play and mess around and change it 3 or 4 times before I'm happy with the way something looks. That is very much like me. But I don't have time for that today, so I will have to keep just sticking down and being satisfied. If only I could get the glue out. And let's go stick this one down. And this one. And then get these leaves in. Now, as I said, I forgot to bring a photo out with me, so I'm going to have to finish it off with a photo later on. What I might end up doing, just because we're sort of running out of time, is I could probably finish it off with the bits and pieces and then pop it on the Love with Prima page once I've actually finished it off with a photo and stuff like that. But as you can see, because obviously until I get a photo, I'm not quite certain what I would do title wise. And yes, I quite often create like this, where I'll create an entire layout and not even have a photograph on it until the very end. Add a little bit of ink around the little hummingbird for a little bit more oomph. And a couple of foam mount dots if I can find them. I'll grab some of these smaller ones. I tend to have all sizes hanging around me as well, because it just makes it easier if you've got smaller things to use smaller dots if they're available. And I'm just foam mounting this little guy up, the little birdie, because I think if I don't, you might get a little bit lost on the page because it's getting fairly layered and a bit more busy through that section. This is just a little bit of straight one. I'm going to be able to see that bit. Not too bad, that'll be all right. Okay, so, one more of those sticky little things to go, and I'm thinking cute little birdie. Might go up a bit higher. Sit cute birdie up there, and I might need another dot underneath him to hold his tail, else we'd be elevating his tail all the time. So that gives you a little bit of an idea. Well, obviously I still need to go through and finish it off with a photo and a title, but hopefully it gives you an idea of how easy the Rondelle collection is to work with, and gives you some ideas on how to play around with some of the product. I think it could still look absolutely gorgeous with a little one of these little guys somewhere on it. I'm not quite certain where yet, but it's quite easy even just to pick one up and pop one on the page. But yeah, like I said, I will try and I'll try and finish it off, maybe grab a couple of little more tiny little flowers and stuff once I've got access to them, because I didn't bring them out. I mean, I'm even just looking at the moment going, oh, I could add in some of the tiny little pearls, because the tiny little pearls that they did are just beautiful to get in to fill some of in and around these flowers. So I might, like I said, I can then spend ages going over tiny little details later on and adding this in here and that in there, and I'm quite, you know, I've exceeded my 1 hour time limit quite considerably already. And when I do this, the other little tip I do quite often is I will actually cut around the plastic on my pearls first, and that way I can get an idea of what some of these things might look like. Like it could look really sweet with a tail of little pearls coming off from the back of the hummingbird or something like that. Can't really see it very well, it's not much light here today, but I'm going to have a little play around with some of the pearls and see if I wanted to add some in places and stuff. But I think for today we're going to have to say that's about it, because I might then spend another hour just playing around with little tiny bits and pieces. Let me just pull this up. So thanks so much for, you know, putting up with me and concentrating heaps on what I'm doing. It's a little bit stressful trying to create something